Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video what we're going to be doing is carrying out a replacement of the discs and pads on the rear of the BMW 1 Series. You may have seen the video that I did recently where I replaced the fronts. The rears are similar, but there are a few little differences that you need to take into account. So we'll have a look at all of those as we do the job. So yeah, welcome along. Let's get the car up on a jack, get a stand under it and get the wheel off and have a look at what we're going to be doing. Okay, so then, now we've got the wheel off, we can see what we're looking at. In order to get the disc off, what we need to do is remove the caliper, much like we did in the previous video with the fronts, but holding the caliper on, what we've got is two 16mm bolts holding it to the hub carrier. They're in the back here, but what we're going to need is a universal joint because it's quite difficult to get in amongst the linkage arms. So they are tight. What I'll do, if I get into the back of the caliper with my ratchet, it's going to take a bit of leaning on. There we go. Having a universal joint does make access a bit easier to these bolts. There we go, here she comes. There's one. And the other one at the bottom. There we go, right. Both coming up. And there's number two. Okay, so that's both the caliper bolts out. So the caliper is now free to move. What I'm going to do is just give it a little rock backwards and forwards ever so slightly. And what I've done there is I've pushed the piston in ever so marginally, just enough that the pads don't catch on the lip around the disc. Just push them back enough, otherwise it makes it a bit difficult to pull the caliper off. So what I'm going to do is just pop the caliper up there, out of the way, where it's not going to fall and it's not going to catch on the hose there. It's not going to do any damage. It's perfectly fine. What you can do if you want to is you can tie it up if needs be, but on the rear you're pretty good. You've got somewhere to place it where it's not putting strain on the hose. So don't just let it dangle, because it will damage the hose. Okay, next let's get the disc off. Okay then, to get the disc off, what I've done at the moment is the handbrake is still engaged. As you can see, it's not turning at all. Handbrake's still engaged. I've left it on while I get this bolt out. This bolt may be tight. I'll give it a try and see how we get on. If it feels like I'm going to round it, what I'll do is I'll get a bit of heat on there, but I think it'll probably be okay. Just give it a little. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Look at that. There we go. Absolutely spot on. Came out perfectly. Right, what I need to do now, go into the car, disengage the handbrake, and then we should be able to pull the disc off. Okay then, so there we are. Handbrake disengaged. As you can see, it's still quite tight there. Chances are what's happened is the disc is rusted onto the hub. So what I'm going to do, get a mallet, give it a good whack, and hopefully that'll free it off, and it'll drop off. Okay, so there we are. Handbrake's off. I can spin it round, but the disc is solid on there. Most likely the inside face of the disc is corroded onto the face of the hub. So what I've got, big hammer, just give it a, this is scrap anyway, so I can beat this as much as I want. Give it a good few taps. Oh, there we go, and we're off. Took a bit of effort. Obviously we will catch on the handbrake shoes as well, but they're all good. No, they're cool, they're good. Right, yeah, that's scrap. So what we'll do, put that to one side on the scrap pile and have a look at what we're going to do next. Okay, what I think I need to do, give the face of the hub a good clean. Give it a good clean with a wire brush, get rid of all this corrosion so that the new disc will fit on nicely and not be off centre. Okay then, so what we've got to do the job, set of brake pads for the rear, a pair for each side, and some rear discs. Okay, for those of you who watched the video I did with the front, I used discs with a coating on, and these are the same. These have got the nice painted coat so they look nice behind the wheels for longer. Obviously the actual disc surface itself, the paint comes off as soon as you apply the brake, so there's no real dramas there, but the rest of it will stay looking nice for longer. These particular ones for the rears are Pagid. I used Mintex ones on the front, but they didn't have the same brand in stock when I ordered them, so I bought Pagid. But they're just as good. Pagid are a decent brand. So yeah, what I've done is I've backed off the handbrake adjuster. Now what I could have done is I could have done this before I went to take the disc off. It probably would have come off the damn sight easy instead of me beating the hell out of it, but it's not a big deal because you know, it was scrap anyway, so I could beat the crap out of it for all I wanted. But yeah, I've backed it off now. Backed it off, puts the shoes in their lowest setting. There we go, that's it, all the way back. Put the shoes in the lower setting. It should make the disc go on a damn sight easier. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to give the hub a good scrub. Get rid of all this corrosion. That way the disc will seat a heck of a lot better, and we won't have any problems with alignment. Let's get some wipes in here. Give it a good wipe round. And there we are, ready for the disc. Okay, on this occasion I'm not going to bother replacing the handbrake shoes because they're in pretty good condition. There's loads of meat left on them. So what I'm going to do is get the new disc on. There's the hole for the bolt. There's the hole for the bolt. Line them up. Slot that over. And as you can see, because I retracted the handbrake shoes, it dropped on really nicely. So let's get the bolt back in. Sometimes you do get new ones of these bolts with some brands of disc. I know with Brembo discs that I fitted to my 7 Series, it came with brand new ones, but the Pagid ones don't seem to, and neither did the Mintex. But it's not a showstopper. Obviously, if you rounded it off, then you may need one. But on this occasion, we're all good. Okay. Next thing we're going to look at is the caliper. So let's see what we can do with this. Right, well, the first thing we need to do is remove the anti-rattle clip from the front. This could be a bit of a pain. Use a screwdriver to just lever it out. Come on. There we go, that's one side. And there's the other side. Perfect, right. Now, as you can see, it's flopping around like a good one in there. let's get that pad out of there. That's the first one out. And the inner one, piston side. Come on. Okay, she's out. Right, what I need to do next is remove the brake pad wear sensor. Now, these will just pull out. It'll probably break, but it's not a great deal because I do have a replacement. If I can get it to pop out. These, it's always a good idea to replace these whenever you replace the pads because they do go brittle. They don't like, as you can see, the springs fell off. And to be fair, that one fared fairly well. It didn't fall apart like they usually like to. But yeah, fair bit of meat still left on them. They're not terrible. However, obviously you don't use old pads on a new disc. It's a silly idea, so we're going to be replacing them. So next thing I'm going to do, split the two halves of the caliper apart, give it a good scrub with a wire brush and get all the brake dust out. Okay then, so I've got the pads out. What we're going to do next is just pull apart the two halves of the caliper, just like that. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of corrosion inside there. And what we'll do, I'm going to retract the piston, as I did before, with a set of Stilsons. Just gently squeeze it back in, and as you can see, it retracts quite neatly until it stops, just like that. And there we go, that's the piston retracted. That was fairly straightforward and painless. What I'm going to do is give these two parts a good scrub with a wire brush, get rid of all the corrosion before we put in the new pads. And here we are, the runners for the pads, nice and corrosion free. We'll give the rest of it a good going over. Just for good measure. And there we go. We'll do that bit nicely. And then same on the inside here, making sure you don't damage the you don't want to damage the dust seal, otherwise we'll get all sorts of rubbish in behind the piston. Mainly just make sure that the runners here are nice and corrosion free. Just allows the pads to move in the caliper as and when they need to. Okay, so that should do the job there. What we'll do next is just pop the two halves back together, just like that. And there we go, push them back home. And what we're going to do now, rest that there gently, stay there, that's it. Right, what we'll do now is get one pair of pads out, and there we go. Okay, so we will put the piston side pad in first. Obviously the piston side one has this spring clip on it, and that goes inside the piston. So what we need to do is push that in. If we gently lift the carrier, we should be able to pop each end of the pad underneath it, just like so, and that fell in quite nicely. Same with the other side, pop it in. It'll probably go in a damn sight easier this side. Just give it a little nudge. If you give that a little lift, have such a slight lift, and you should be able to get it in. Come on, in you come. And there we go. That's that one in. And they're both sat exactly as they need to be. What we'll do next, pop it on the carrier and get the bolts in. I'll put the clip in afterwards. There we go. Get the first bolt. First one in. And there we can see both the bolts fitted into their positions. All we've got to do now is tighten them up and torque them to spec. Okay, let's get them up to touch. Okay, get them tightened up. Just up to touch. And then what I'll do, I'll get the torque wrench out and torque them up to spec. Okay, both the bolts torqued up. All I've got to do now, refit the clip, push it on till it clicks, and that's the job done. Okay, that's the discs and the pads, both replaced on this side of the car. The one thing to note when you carry out this replacement is that you need to give the brake pedal a good pump just to reset the piston back in the caliper, to push the pads back out against the disc. Otherwise what will happen is you'll come to the first junction, go press the brakes, and the pedal travel will be massive right to the floor, and you'll have a bit of a panic because you don't know what's going on, and it'll be because there's no resistance here. So make sure you give the brakes a couple of pumps just to reset everything, and everything will be good to go. One other thing I do need to do, however, is carry out a replacement of the brake pads wear sensor. Now you only have one of these on one side of the car. On the back it's on this side, on the front it's on the opposite side. I've got a brand new sensor here. What I need to do, remove this one. It's tie wrapped in position all the way along, and the actual box where it connects is behind here. So what I'll do, pull this panel out in a second, and we'll disconnect it and replace it. So first things first, get the old tie wraps chopped off. Right, normally there isn't tie wraps. It's just that the factory clips are quite weak. They go weak with age, so I've popped the tie wrap around them just to keep them in place. This little clip here should just pop open. It can be a bit frustrating and tricky, but come on. Open, sesame, there we go. And that one just folds out. Okay, as you can see, the cable itself goes behind this panel. What we need is an 8mm socket. Take out a couple of bolts on the inner panel, the splash panel inside the rear wheel station. Pop that down there. Take that one out as well. There's 1, 2, 3. Shouldn't really need to take out any more than that. Hopefully we'll manage with them. We'll see how we get on. We'll get these 3 out. Should give us enough room to get in. Unfortunately not. Right, what I need to do also is remove the Torx bit, which is just underneath. Is that going to be enough? We'll have to take your eyes out. Yeah, it looks like it. Typical. It's frustrating that you have to take all of these little things out just to get access. Just to get access to these. And here we go. As you can see, there's your connectors. Now, usually there's a little cover over the top of that, which is obviously snapped off at some point in the past. But there we go, there's it disconnected. That's the old one. Let's grab the new one. If the bag will open properly, come on. Get it connected up. There we go, clicks into place. And then slot it back in position. Okay, right, what I'll do, I'll clip that one back in position there, and then that's all out of the way, and I can put all of this back where it's supposed to be. So what I'll do, get that one on first. One, two, three, and the one underneath. Bottom one done. Lots of rubbish inside here, it's fallen off all over me. One of them's fell out. Back in there. Right, now what we need to do is ensure we route this correctly. Bring it round here. My gloves ripped. I'll tie up that one in position in a moment. That one goes in there. That one goes in there, and then this will come round and slot into the brake pad. Give it a little push. There, well, in we go. just like that. There we go. And then, as you can see, it's slotted in there nicely. And then that part just sits inside the dust cover for the brake pad nipple. All I need to do is grab a couple of tie wraps, pop these round, and what this will do, it'll ensure that the clips don't open, because the last thing you want is a cable flailing around in and amongst your suspension. Ooh, I've got that the wrong way around. Let's try it the other way. In and around your suspension and wheels, because for obvious reasons. Okay, so that's pop that on there. Get another one. And then another one. At the back. And there we are. Tidy these up, just cut the excess off. And that is that job done. So disc pads and wear sensor replacement carried out completely. Two more things that really need to be done. We need to reset the onboard computer just to let the car know that we've replaced the carried out brake service effectively. Reset that. That way the car won't be complaining about the fact that it needs its brakes servicing. And the other thing we need to do is carry out an adjustment of the handbrake. But what I'm going to do, do the handbrake adjustment as a completely separate video, because it can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but I think it deserves a video of its own. So stay tuned for that. What I'll do, I will pop a link to that video once I've created it in the description for this video, so feel free to go and check that out. Anyway, hopefully you found the video entertaining, useful, maybe. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you all again for the next video from Kev Shed. Thank you very much. Bye bye now.